Hi guys, this is the second lesson from our Unit 6. This is over translations and rotations, so just make sure you have your notes open to this page. It starts off with vocabulary, so anytime if you need more time to write it down, just pause the video and you will be able to write the definition down so you have it and then you can restart it. The first one, it talks about translations. So all the translation does, which is probably a word you've heard before, it moves every point of a figure the same distance and direction. So basically you just take a shape and you move it on the x-axis, you move it to the left or right, on the y-axis you move it up or down, but the whole figure moves in the same way. So that's what a translation is. And then there's this new word, component form. This is also, you may at some point see this as vector form. It just depends on the question, but they're the same thing. So if you ever see the word vector form, it means the same as component form. And this is what component form looks like. So it will have, it basically looks like an ordered pair, but it has the less than, greater than sign looking things instead of parentheses. So really all that happens is you take the x value and you add 5 to it, or you move the figure, to the right 5, and then for the y value you move it down 2, or you subtract 2 from the y value. Alright, so I'll give you a chance to write all of that down just so you have it. But anytime you see these instead of parentheses, then it's going to be component or vector form. Okay, if you need to pause the video to finish writing, you can do that. Alright, for the last two, I'm going to show them at the same time, the image and the pre-image. So for the image, it's the new figure that you make after you translate it. The pre-image is what it is before it's translated. So a lot of times you will see, I'm going to add something to this. So if it is, let's say it's point A, right there, then it would be just A for the pre-image. But when it changes to the image, it becomes A prime. And it looks like that basically. It's just an apostrophe by the A. And so that's the change. So you will see that A prime, and that means the shape has already been translated. It's already been moved in some way if it has a prime by it. If there's no prime, it means it's the pre-image, so the shape has not been changed. Okay, now we are moving to example 1. So this is the picture that you should have. And notice it says A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. So this is after it's been translated. So after the figure has been moved, the x value has been moved, the y value has been moved. This is not in vector form. This is the other form that you will see. And it's pretty self-explanatory. Pretty much you're going to take the x value of the original shape, which is right here, or the original point. You're going to subtract 6 from it. You're going to take the y value of the original point, and you're going to add 8 to it. Not too bad. What I'm going to do first is just write down the original points off to the side, because I think it is a lot easier to do that. So alright, so we are going to plot these points. So these are the original points. Notice it does not have a prime here. This is just A, B, C, D, and E. So we're going to come over here. Just make sure when you are counting, remember this is the x-axis and the y-axis is vertical. X-axis is horizontal, y is up and down. So when we are getting our first number, our x value, we are going to count to the left or right. This one goes to the right. So it's positive 2, and then it goes down 3, so negative 3. So just make sure when you're counting those points that you're doing it correctly. For B, it also goes to the right 2, and then it goes down 8. So it's going to be negative 8. For C, it goes so it's this point down here. You count all the way to 8, and then it goes down 8. 8, and then down 8. So notice these two have the same y value. There we go, it's better. These have the same y value because they're on the same line. And then for D, it goes to the right 8, and then it goes. Okay, I'm recording a video. Okay, sorry about that. Let's get point D and point E. So for point D, it goes to the right 8, it goes down 3. And then the last one, point E, you count right 5 and down 5. Alright, so now we have our original points and we just need to change them. So there's a couple of options. You can either count from the point. So I'll show you two ways. We'll start with counting from the point. You want to subtract 6 from the x values. So you want to go 6 to the left because this way is negative if you go this way. So if we count 6 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we are there, but then we also have to add 8 to the y value, so we have to go up 8. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that would be our new point for A. That would be our A prime, so I'll write that in. Alright, so this point is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So since it goes negative 4, we put that. And then up 5, we're going to put that there. So there's another way you can do this. You could also take your A value that you have, just make sure it's correct, and you would subtract 6 from it. So 2 minus 6 is going to be negative 4. And then you have to add 8 to the y value, so negative 3 plus 8, you'll get a positive 5. So you can do it either way. You can count, or you can add to the x and y value. So we'll add to the x and y value for this one. So for this one, you've got x minus 6, so you need to do 2 minus 6. It's going to be the same thing. The x values are the same for that, so their new x values for a prime and b prime will also be the same. And then you want to go ahead and add 8 to the y value, which just makes it 0. So I'll plot that point as well, and that is our b prime. So this entire shape is going to be moving up. Alright, for this one, we subtract 6 from the x value, so you get 2, and then you add 8 to the x value, so you get 0, and that's going to be our c prime at 2, 0, so I'll count that, 1, 2, and I need to add the prime on there, c prime. Okay, now I'll go ahead and count again, just to give you another example of that change. So we need to subtract 6, so I'm going to count to the left 6 for the x value, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we need to go up 8, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then that is our d prime, which is at positive 2, positive 5, and then for our e value, we just subtract 6, so 5 minus 6 is negative 1, and then negative 5 plus 8 is a positive 3. So that's negative 1, positive 3. And we have all of our value now. Alright, you can move to example 2 now. This one, we're kind of going backwards. It already gives us the translation, and we want to write out what is the change. So this one says it's going from A to B, so our starting point is A, and then we move to B. Make sure you are using the same point in A as in B. So if I use the top left-hand corner for A, I must also use the top left-hand corner for B. So you are counting from one to the other, and you're figuring out the change in the x value and the change in the y value. Alright? So you have got A as the top left, and it moves to the right. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the change for the x value, it adds 10 going from A to B. So we're going to write it two ways. The way we're going to write it first is vector form. So if you remember, this is at the top of the page, and so you make this little less than sign, and then you write a 10, and then you put a comma. So it's going to look just like an ordered pair, just it won't have a parenthesis. And you're going to put a comma, and we need to write the y value. So let's figure out the y value. So I am going to count. I've counted over to the right, and now I get even with this point. So I counted from the left point, top left-hand corner on A, to the top left-hand corner on B, the change in the x value, and now I'm counting down for the change in the y value. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we subtract 5 from the y value. So it looks a little different than example 1, this right here. And this is just a different form to write it. They mean the same thing. So if we want to write it in the other form, it would look like this. I put 4x plus 10, y minus 5, and these have parentheses on it. So these are the same thing. You're just writing it in two different ways. Okay, let's go from B to D. The x value from B to D. So every single one I'm just going to start in the top left-hand corner. We add 2 to the x value, and then we're going to count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we subtract 6 from the y value. So that also looks like x plus 2 and y minus 6 with parentheses. So these are the same thing. And then for D to C, you are going to, now this is where it starts. So it starts with D. D is your starting point. So that's how you know if it's going to be positive or negative. What throws people off is they start counting at C, and then they get the answers wrong because the change is actually to the negative and not to the positive. So you will count over, the change is 12 for the x value. So it's a negative 12, because if we start at D and go to C, we're moving to the left, and the left is negative. Alright, and then it goes down only 1. So the y value change is only 1, but it's negative 1. Or you can also write it like this, x minus 12 and y minus 1. Alright, and now I'm going to give you the secret word for today. This will be in your assignment. The word is apple. Apple, A-P-P-L-E. Just to make sure y'all are actually listening to the video. Okay? Alright, let's move to the next. Okay, for this problem, I want you to do it by yourself, and then I will show you the answer. So pause the video right now. I want you to plot these 4 points, A, B, C, and D, and then translate each one of them. Add 2 to the x value and add 1 to the y value. And then pause it, and I'll show you the answer. Okay, these are what the points look like when you have plotted them. So points A, B, C, and D. Alright, if you have not made the transformation and translated them, then pause the video, do that, and answer. Alright, this is the change, and then it says it wants you to connect those, and so I just want to show you how to do this. You are just connecting C to C prime, D to D prime, B to B prime. So if you did that wrong, that's what it's supposed to look like. What figure did you make? Made a cube. Alright, we're moving